So this is my friend Sean Hyatt, and right now we have three. There you go. I love that hat. We have three foundation courses underway. Two are pretty much U.S. and one is Australia. We're looking at starting one in Africa here. But I wanted Sean to talk about the course that he is leading. And first of all, kind of describe who's a part of it and what exactly are these people doing. So first of all, who's a part of it? Like, where are people from? That kind of thing. How many people?
Yeah, so our Foundations 1 course is made up primarily of people who just had logged on to Luke 10, had been reading and following the blog, and heard about the Foundations course through the blog and just registered directly through the blog. And we were starting a course, myself and my friend Jeff Wilkins, in South Carolina. So him and I are co-facilitating this course. It's a 6-week course, and it's made up of 4 couples and 1 single lady. The 4 couples are from Denver, Colorado Springs, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and Minnesota. And then
Minnesota.
The single lady is a good friend of mine here in Denver. So it's a very diverse group. I've never met any of the 4 couples in person, except maybe one. I might have met Jim and Lori before. So the course is primarily through a Facebook private group page, which serves as our online course home, where we can discuss the material and share around the material. And then we also have a conference call every few weeks. So 3 total conference calls is how this particular group is going during the 6-week course. And then also 2 coaching sessions with one of the facilitators of the group. Coaching on any topic that the student would like coaching on. And the coach doesn't have to be the expert in that area. They're just a person who asks good questions and is a good listener and helps the other person come to some clarity on whatever is weighing on their heart. So the Facebook group page, weekly material, all 6 weeks.
So that's the workbook.
That's
so
the workbook.
a new chapter each week on that.
Right, and it's all about CO2 principles, but it's diving much deeper. And it's not only diving deeper with the information, it's also doing it with a group of people who are all doing it together and are able to help one another in that process.
So we call that a community of practice. So these are not just theory, but people are practicing these things and talking about what they're learning, so everybody's kind of both teaching and learning together.
You betcha, and that to me is worth the time and effort in being a part of the course, is having a community to be able to really learn something together with and process it together with and listen to God together about it. It ends up being a very transformational process if we allow it to be.
How far along? 6-week course, how far along are you at this point?
Yeah, so our group is halfway through the 4th week. So we're a little more than halfway through the entire course, and it's been great so far. The material alone and sharing around that material together on the Facebook group page has been very meaningful to the whole group. Some really great stories, great comments being made, folks really getting a new paradigm about church, about what church is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. So can you say some more specific stories? I mean, not naming names or anything, but what are ways in which you see this impacting people, things that you see God doing in the lives of people through this so far?
Yeah, so I mean, the 2 big areas, of course, are checking in together on a heart level, which, the heart of that is learning to and practicing connecting with others on a more deeper heart level.
So using Sashay as a tool to do that.
And Sashay being a good main tool to go about using that. Some good training wheels, so to speak, on how to really connect with other people, connect as a church family, connect as a married couple, connect as friends on a heart level. And the other side of this being the listening to God, how to hear God's voice, how to actively listen for God's voice, what that might sound like, and developing this culture of listening on a daily basis. And not just listening, but the idea that everything else in our Christian walk should flow from listening to God's voice, from mission, what are, outreach, evangelism, that should flow from what we're hearing from the Lord. Discipleship, church, even more basic life things, our jobs, our families, our marriages, should all be flowing out of this ongoing conversation with God.
Which is why we call it Foundations course. These are really foundation for
Right.
everything else that we're looking at.
Right. And then a couple stories. One is a gal in our group had some bad experiences with listening to the Lord, or at least some challenging ones that were kind of a place of wounding for her in the past when she had listened to God's voice and it didn't quite pan out the way she had thought it would. And this course is helping her to have courage again to go back to listening to God and to letting things flow from that.
Well,
Another gentleman mentioned that they made some big decisions in life years ago, and it came out of listening prayer. So they had practiced this in the past, but it hadn't, for years, it hasn't been a common part of their life.
they kind of lost touch with that whole part of things.
Right,
Yeah.
so this course has reignited that desire and that understanding about, whoa, this is deeply important in our Christian walk, hearing what God has to say, not just about big life decisions, but about little daily decisions, about whether it's ministry or just everyday life. That's vitally important. So we're seeing folks being brought back to what is deeply important about walking with God, and also learning afresh what it means, how important it is to learn to connect well in our church families, in our ministries, on a heart level with others, and not being surface level all the time. So,
You've shared earlier today about somebody who said they were experiencing this heart level connection with people, and how they felt like that ought to happen in church, or say that story again.
yeah, it ought to happen. I think that's Ellen, my good friend. She wouldn't mind me saying her name here. Let's see. Just realizing that in her many years of walking with God and being a part of sort of more traditional churches, realizing that, every time we greet one another, how's it going, brother? How's it going, sister? Oh, I'm blessed. Things are going good. I'm blessed in the Lord.
Yeah.
And there's a place for that. That's a good thing, but it's not real. It's not where we're really at. And the practice of being real with other people just opens all kinds of doors.
Yeah.
And is really, people are realizing through this course that this is the way the body of Christ was meant to be. People who really know each other, who are really connected with one another, and who can really bear one another's burdens, partly because they know what one another's burdens are,
Yeah.
because they learn to connect in this way.
They're just going and sitting and listening to a sermon or singing some songs, although it's really good, is no longer enough. Church ought to be a place where I'm known and where people know what's going on in my life, and I feel safe and feel like I'm going to be supported there, and I can do that for other people.
Right, absolutely. And that seems to be happening in our culture all over, here in America especially.
Yeah.
God is doing something big, and so this is I think a key material and key concepts for what God is doing all around America and North America especially.
Sounds like you're having a lot of fun leading this
Absolutely,
cohort.
absolutely. Believe in the material, believe in, CO2 and Sachet and listening to God has played a key role in my walk with God over the last 3 years. With my marriage, with my family, with our church family, we use these principles, these practices. But yeah, just getting the chance to share that with other people, and experience that learning experience and those revelations with other people who are coming along and experiencing them for themselves
Yeah.
is quite a joy and quite a privilege. It's a lot of fun. It's laid back, very informative. It's a community. One person mentioned how edifying and positive the group was, especially online. If anyone's been on forums, even Christian forums online where you are interacting with other people online, they turn sour very quickly. But he was commenting what a pleasure it was to be a part of a group where it wasn't turning sour. It was very edifying, very encouraging, and that's a perfect learning environment.
Yeah, I've gotten to read some of those posts on that Facebook group, and it's just amazing. I mean, there'll be a particular question, and there'll be sometimes 10 or 15 responses, and people sharing with one another, encouraging one another. It's a wonderful environment for relationships to form, even though you maybe haven't met some of these people face to face.
Yeah, it's amazing
Remarkable
what
what happens.
online and over conference calls on the phone can do.
Yeah,
And connections are even made in these groups that carry on for years.
Yeah.
Some of the folks in our past group are still staying in touch with one another. So the Lord's using it to connect people also.
yeah.
which is a
And
big
you don't have any. I mean, you haven't been to seminary or any kind of special, ordination training kinds of
Right.
things that you ordinarily think of.
Nope. The way the course is set up, anyone who's been through the course and with a little direction can help lead a course. And so anyone out there who's been a part of the course, leading it is a good next step. I'm sure all of us have people in our lives who could use this material and want to be able to help others to get a new paradigm about church,
Yeah. So our vision is that
about the body of Christ.
the day will come when there'll be dozens of these courses that are going on around the world, and any mature believer can lead it. So
Absolutely.
great. Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.